What's up, everybody? Welcome to a very special episode of Night Off Podcast. I am Alex. I am joined by my two best friends and co-hosts, Derek and Walsh. Now, I wanted to talk about the damn Royal Rumble. I wanted to talk about the Netflix deal. I wanted to talk about The Rock joining the board of TKO. I wanted to speculate about the WrestleMania card, and I wanted to finish our goddamn tier list. But no, Vincent Kennedy McMahon turns out to be an even bigger, abhorrent monster than I ever even thought. Yeah. I don't know how much detail we can get into this with the allegations because I'm pretty sure it's against the terms of service of YouTube and every other platform that we're on. Before we get...
It depends on how we word it. It depends on how we word things.
It depends on how we word things.
It well.
Yeah.
We won't word it well.
I'm going to be putting links in the description for the original Wall Street Journal article and the court document. And also, if you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, help is available. You can visit the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network website or contact RAIN's National Helpline. The number is 1-800-656-HOPE. But this is all too horrible to not talk about, and the more you read, the worse it gets. This is only a couple of days old, and it is dominating like every discussion you can have about the wrestling industry. And I mean, it's just Vince being the biggest piece of shit imaginable.
Yeah, I mean, it also proves that, rich people are just awful human beings. Just awful human beings.
There is
the depth of depravity. No. And like the depths of depravity that Vince himself is willing to go, it's insane. My heart, and I believe I speak for everyone here, our hearts go out to the victim and other victims of Vince and his cohorts. Alleged, obviously, with the stuff going on, but even if just a fraction of this is true, he is a monster.
Yes, all this is still very fresh allegations. We just know what's in the text of the civil suit that has been laid against Vince, John Laurnentis, and World Wrestling Entertainment, LLC.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. More is going to come to light, obviously, as this comes forward, as things come out. But this is only 2-3 days old as time of recording, so things are still very fresh in the news sphere, and a lot of stuff's going to come out before we can actually have the puzzle pieces all together.
Yeah, I think we should just get into just like the timeline of events that we can speak to right off the bat. This suit came to light on, was it like just a few days ago? And as of Friday night, Vince is gone from TKO. So that was about like a full day for this to simmer, basically.
It was either the 25th of January 2024 or the 24th of January 2024 that this all started coming out.
I'm going to pull up the court document just for my own reference. Yeah, the document of the suit was filed on the 25th.
Okay, the 25th. Okay. And it's filed in Connecticut, I believe.
Yes.
Where WWE headquarters is actually out of. So.
Yeah, and it's also Vince's like home resident state.
Okay, yeah, and that makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty crazy, but it also ties back into was it the 2022 investigation that went nowhere?
Yeah,
that WWE did the internal investigation. So, I wonder
so,
if that's fully tied into this, or if there's more victims that we're going to be finding out soon.
That is a key point to why a lot of this came to light. Now, the 22 investigation into Vince and his alleged payoffs of victims, that was done it was done internally, but they also brought in an outside third-party law firm to head that investigation.
Okay.
Part of the suit alleges that the victim, Miss Janelle Grant, was never contacted by anyone in this investigation. She was not offered to give her a quote, a story, a point of view, any information whatsoever.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that suit did, or that investigation did find that he, and I say he, Vince, had paid off millions of dollars using company funds for women that he had assaulted, had relations with, coerced into signing NDAs, and so forth. Some of the key points that I think we need to talk about is the victim, Miss Grant. This started in 2019. She was living in a building that Vince McMahon owned a penthouse in, and she was dealing with the bereavement of the loss of both of her parents, who she was providing full-time end-of-life care for, and was dealing with their bankruptcy. So she was unemployed, looking for gainful employment, struggling, to say the least. And
a victim that's easily impressionable in that moment.
Yeah.
Because they're weak emotionally and mentally because of everything going on.
Yeah. And
Predator stuff.
Yeah, she was basically introduced to Vince via someone that she trusted, the building manager of where she lived, with the hopes of being able to gain employment through Vince at WWE. And right away, this is where the grooming and manipulation and abuse, frankly, started. Right off the bat, he made promises of a job, started showering her with gifts. In initial meetings that were supposed to be about the job, he greeted her in his underwear, repeatedly asked for hugs, gave details about his personal life and his marital struggles, you could say, whatever, carny bullshit he fed this poor woman. It really ramped up very quickly from her being given essentially a nothing position at WWE. It was basically a title only, do no work position where the only thing that she dealt with was described as an overwhelming assault of harassment from Vince in the form of text messages, verbal communications, and very rapidly this turned into full-on assault.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Now, I know that abusers tend to have patterns. This sounds like a case that is a pattern that he has done many times before.
Yes.
There's no way this was all the first time. There's no way. No shot. That'd be full cab. There's no way. Go ahead, sorry. I'm just real mad.
It as well we should be, because we are talking about assault, we are talking about textbook rape. We are talking about flat out torture of what Vince did to this person. It's hard to read the actual allegations in the court document itself because it is flat out horrific, and it's a horror movie. It's a straight up horror movie of abuse, manipulation, torture, and dehumanizing this poor person, Miss Grant,
who deserved none of this.
No.
None of this. Simply looking for help in a situation where she was struggling. And
Yes.
he decided to take advantage of her in the worst ways possible. the worst ways possible.
Yeah. Some of the key points from the suit is there are screenshots of text messages between Vince and the victim, which, you know, are very easy to hopefully verify for the sake of the victim here. One from May 2020 read, "I'm the only one who owns and controls who I want to fuck you." Really, the other parties involved are just as despicable. There are very few named other parties involved. John Laurnentis being the only other one, I think, by name, other than the others who are alleged to involved. There are some executives who had knowledge. It describes at least one of them who is no longer with the company. Another person involved, but not named, is a personal physician to Vince, I believe a physical therapist or something along that nature. And yeah, and someone described as exactly this person, except for by name, a WWE superstar and UFC fighter, who the Wall Street Journal flat out says is Brock Lesnar. The suit doesn't name Brock, but by all purposes, all intents, it's Brock. It is.
I mean, let's look at the timeline here.
Yeah.
There's only two wrestlers, right, that have gone into the UFC. CM Punk and Brock Lesnar. Where was CM Punk during this time?
During this time, this is right around.
This is after he left.
This is well after he left. Yeah.
Well after he left. So there's no way. There's no way it's CM Punk. There's no way. So who's the only other person that could be a UFC fighter? I know they didn't name him by name.
Yeah.
But it's Brock Lesnar.
It's the only other UFC fighter with WWE who is on a very, high-end contract basis for appearances. I mean, the only other ones I can think of is you've got
like Ronda,
Matt Riddle, and Shayna Baszler.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Shamrock's another wild possibility, but he's on, he hasn't been involved with the WWE much other than a Legends contract. He's not making appearances.
I mean, it's not Ronda. There's no way. No. Ronda has her own beef going on potentially, which we might talk about in a future episode if anything else comes to light about that.
Yeah.
It has to be Brock. I mean, I'm sorry. If it's not, then because it's all alleged.
Alleged, yes.
At the moment, because there is no specific name, but I'm sorry. Gun to your head. Gun to your head. Who do you think it is? Because I'm going to vote Brock.
I'm going to vote Brock. He's the kind of guy that, from what the suit alleges, fits the description.
Uh-huh. Not only that, but this is we're all fresh off of the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Brock was supposed to be in the Royal Rumble, and he was not.
Yeah.
He was replaced by, what's his face from NXT?
Braun?
Braun. Thank you, Braun.
See, I suspect the Pat McAfee spot in the Rumble was where Brock was supposed to be inserted.
Which is also, it could be there too. Yeah, that's the other one.
Yeah.
But not a good look if he's not jumping in. You know what I mean?
No, I mean,
it doesn't mean he's involved, but it doesn't look good. So.
No, and I mean, I'm too disturbed to not say that from what it appears to be in here, Vince planned on trafficking this victim to Brock in order to get him to re-sign with WWE in 2021.
Yes. Yes, and this is not the first time that he had trafficked her out, allegedly, to people.
Yeah, John Laurnentis being the key person that he, frankly, used her as currency for.
Yes. And it makes me wonder what other companies and such, what other like CEOs and the like have had this favor done with them. Because I have a feeling this well goes real freaking deep. Real deep.
Yeah. Like,
this is only the beginning.
The Saudi Arabia deal, like, who's to say that Vince wasn't trafficking women in order to secure those billions of dollars?
Mm-hmm.
Let's make wild conspiracy theories.
Wild conspiracy theories? Oh, boy.
Yeah. How deep can it go?
I unfortunately, I feel like this is just the beginning of the dam bursting, man. Like, I feel like we're going to start seeing some crazy stuff come to light now. Because like the craziness that is in this, again, allegedly, but if even a fraction of this is true, just a fraction, he is a monster. And everyone involved, equal status, monster.
Yeah. The one detail that I am concerned most about, that is one of the parts of the allegation that I find both not just disturbing but also question on where it actually lies, is Vince allegedly told the victim that he would share her videos and photos with other staff at WWE, people who worked backstage, members of the crew. I am concerned for two reasons. If Vince was actually doing that, then even more people are involved than we know. If Vince was just using it as a power play, I could also see that being valid as a way to exert his control over the victim.
Mm-hmm. Let's look at both sides of this coin here. So if he's actually doing it, that's revenge porn status.
Yeah.
At the bare minimum. Let alone this can be seen as straight blackmail. The other side of the coin is blackmail.
Mm-hmm.
That's still illegal. Like, it's not gray mail, it's blackmail.
Yeah.
And it should be tried in a court of law for what he's done.
Now, that's something that's important here. This is a civil case.
Yes. But that does not mean that it won't lead to criminal charges. Civil cases do sometimes lead to criminal charges. We are still well within the bounds of the statute of limitations, I believe, for stuff like this.
Oh,
I think it's 20 years.
Yes, and I think it's important for people who aren't familiar with how our court system and justice system work. The reason why a civil case is being used in this instant by the victim is because when you're dealing with someone as rich and as powerful as Vince McMahon, a criminal case is much harder to get justice for a victim of these types of crimes. When it comes to any sort of abuse or flat out rape in this case, the criminal justice system fails way more times than they succeed. Her chances of getting justice in the criminal system is slim to none. Vince seeing jail time from a case like that and having to deal with any sort of repercussions are a slap on the wrist compared to what she could get out of in form of punishment from a civil case. The lower the standard for proving someone is liable in a civil case is much lower than we are getting guilty out of a criminal case. And that's why you're seeing this be a civil case and not a criminal case. And I think that's an important distinction to be made.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a criminal case, it's beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes.
In a civil case, it's something to do with like a preponderance of evidence, which is a much lower standard.
Yes.
Yeah, the standard is, can this person be liable for this?
Now,
basically,
there's many reasons as well why you might not see a criminal case come to light with some victims when they do decide to actually sue, and that's because time has passed, evidence is gone. It's a lot harder to prove after time has passed because a lot of victims are afraid to come out, which understandably so, because our society does not it does not respect the victim, potential victim, typically. I know there was the Me Too movement and everything, but there was huge backlash. There was huge backlash still about it, and it's unfortunate. Like, what's so hard about believing the victim unless, obviously, evidence comes to light that is the opposite. But why is it so hard for us to believe the victim? I don't understand that, because something like this could have come out much sooner. Much sooner. I mean, I understand I know she signed an NDA. I understand that. Which doesn't matter. When you're doing criminal activity, NDAs don't mean crap. No. They don't mean crap. And he breached the NDA first by not paying her. I know he alleged that she breached by leaking information. Yes. He just didn't want to pay her the extra $2 million, because I think it was $3 million that was agreed, and only $1 million was paid out, which is part of the reason why she's coming forward as well.
Another part is she is hoping to, or at least her and her representation hope that this will lead to more of the victims speaking out and coming forward and encouraging them to tell their stories. That is one of their goals.
Yeah, I mean, I think I speak for everyone. Stand up, speak out. This is the time. You know, stand strong. Like, we're all behind you.
Yeah.
This man's a monster. At least I believe he is.
I mean, that's a good way to sort of segue to some of the previous allegations against Vince. It was, I want to say, it was 92. Former referee Rita Chatterton. She worked for the WWF in the 80s. She was the first female referee for the WWF, possibly in the entirety of professional wrestling. She was the first referee. In the 90s, she made an appearance on Geraldo Rivera's show that he had. And she claimed in July 16th of 1986, McMahon tried to force her to perform oral sex on him in his limousine. When she refused, he flat out raped her. This was Vince saying, if you want to get your paycheck, and it was some exorbitant amount, you're going to do this. And then he forced himself upon her. This was corroborated, I think, in 2022 by another individual. But there were several times in the 90s and early 2000s that Rita Chatterton spoke out against Vince. I don't believe there was any sort of settlement beyond we don't know the amount. It was Vince's lawyer that said they are settling to avoid the cost of the litigation.
Which means he hit the right number.
Yeah.
And probably jail time.
Yeah. It is known that she was seeking almost $12 million in her suit.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. In 2006, at a tanning place in Boca Raton, Florida, Vince is alleged to have shown photographs of himself to one of the workers there and groped them. Initially, it was dismissed by the public because that was the same day as the Royal Rumble, but the detail that was missed on that aspect of it was the police report was filed the day of. The incident itself happened the day before. So, but it was reported that no charges would be filed against McMahon as a result of the investigation there. So he got away.
Not enough to go on.
Yeah, not enough to go on, apparently. The other more recent one was in 22, where there was sexual misconduct claims all the way dating back to 2006 that was investigated by the board and the outside party. That did lead to them discovering $12 million being paid out by the company at the direction of Vince to cover these up. The only thing that we really saw of that was John Laurnentis stepped down. He's remained quiet since then. Vince also stepped down, but then he forced his way back into the company via a coup.
Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
What was it, 17.6 million, I think, he paid back to WWE for these payouts or whatever, and the cost of investigation.
Cost of investigation, yeah.
It's not enough. Enough.
It's not.
Like, why was nothing done about this then? Why? I understand the WWE as an entity does not want the bad publicity from this.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it have looked so much better for the WWE, who have stood up for these women during this time and said, no, we're not going to take this. He needs to get the fuck out.
Well, they did initially. I mean, they did. Yeah, they forced him out. And when he forced his way to come back in, the people that were involved in WWE who did not want him there, his own daughter, Stephanie, his son-in-law, Trips, they all voted against him returning to the board. But at that point in time, WWE's majority shareholder was still Vince, and they were bound by the bylaws of the company and did everything they could and could not prevent it. Stephanie did leave the company immediately after because of it.
That's good. That's real good.
It seems Triple H has stayed just so he can maintain some control over the company and try and prevent Vince from being the complete disaster person that he is.
That's at least a plus then. I'll give him credit for that. Pisses me off though. It's just like, come on. Like, this is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, I know he ended up... Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd say the difference now is with the merger and the formation of TKO Group has led to Vince no longer being majority shareholder. So they had
30%, 31%,
something like that. Yeah. Now, it's really been kind of dangerous from what I've been reading about the articles of incorporation. They essentially had to force Vince to resign voluntarily. The only way Vince could lose his seat was death or resignation from the articles of incorporation. So,
of course,
yeah, him resigning, he was forced out. I don't know what they had to do in order to force him to resign, but they found a way to do it.
I have a feeling there's more skeletons, and they know of some of these, and they're like they're using it against them. They had to have. They had to have. There's no way. There's no way.
Now, there are some other less talked about events that aren't directly Vince being a complete, like, not physically involved, if that makes sense. In the early 90s, it was at 92, there were various allegations of sexual misconduct. People at the center of this was Pat Patterson, who was the head of wrestling operations, his right-hand man, Terry Garvin, and the ring announcer and ring crew chief, Mel Phillips. The broad allegations essentially pointed to the three of them engaging in what they described as a casting couch culture with male wrestlers and other personnel. One of it being Phillips used his job to groom and molest what is described as ring boys, young wrestling fans and hopefuls who worked as day laborers and as crew members setting up the ring when they were traveling in whatever local county or city.
So you say boys. Do you mean boys, or do you just mean like that's just like the moniker?
That's the moniker. I don't have any information on how old the victims were. All of them resigned. Patterson came back with some of the most vocal accusers being discredited. But this is one of those things where most of it kind of just fell by the wayside and was covered up. The guys involved that didn't come back to WWE just disappeared from public life. I
hope they're having good lives, the victims.
Yeah. I believe there's a Dark Side of the Ring episode about one of the victims. His name is Tom Cole.
Okay.
Yeah, you can read more about it if you are so inclined to read the details. It's another instance of things being horrible. It's alleged that Vince had full knowledge of these events and did nothing to prevent them or to protect these people.
Because why would he?
Yeah.
Why would he do that? Because that's what good people do.
Yeah. One of the more disturbing events that doesn't get talked about relates to Ashley Massaro. She was brought into WWE during the Raw 2005 Diva Search. She left the company in 2008 under the guise of to take care of her sick daughter. She later on became a radio DJ until her death in 2019. It wasn't revealed until 2021 that she had committed suicide. The reason I feel it's important to bring her up is she filed an affidavit in 2016 as part of a class action lawsuit against WWE. This class action suit was related to WWE not providing safety or training to prevent people from dealing with long-term physical damage and concussions. I'll be honest, the class action suit itself is weak, very weak. There wasn't much that they really had as far as ways that they can provide evidence that WWE is solely responsible. The other wrestlers involved worked for other companies. There was, we're talking big time jumps here. There was a lot of people involved, and unfortunately not the best put together case, which led to it being dismissed. The reason I bring up Ashley Massaro in particular, though, is because in her affidavit, there is a even more horrifying allegation. The affidavit itself was dated November 1st, 2017. And in it, she recounts her career in WWE, how she wasn't trained properly at all, even though she requested it multiple times, attempted to train herself in her free time, like the 2 days off a week that she wasn't working for WWE. She was trying to learn how to wrestle in order to be safe.
Yeah, of course, because safety is like the number one concern.
Yeah, she was quite popular, which led to her and 3 other WWE talent being selected in 2007 to go on a 2-week tour overseas to go do support the troops tour, basically in Afghanistan, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. The other people that traveled with her was Maria Kanellis, Ron Simmons, Jimmy Hart, and then Gary Hart was there as sort of like their supervisor and there to be a support role during this tour. Now, they arrived initially, and Massaro, she attributed it to her being lighter skinned, having light colored eyes, was harassed by the general public there in, I believe they started in Afghanistan, maybe. But, despite wearing a burqa, she received a lot of harassment. When they arrived in Kuwait, she started suffering from menstrual cramps, wanted to take a break in the Humvee in between sort of their duties as part of the tour. The soldiers there were insisting she was suffering from dehydration and to take her to the nearby base in Kuwait. She insisted that she'll be fine, she just needs some time. But no, we're going to take you to sick bay. They got her there, put an IV in her arm to get her hydrated and let her rest eventually the rest of the people from WWE that were part of her crew went to lunch or something like that and had to make other stops, make some meet and greets and so forth. So she was left alone for several hours. And she was told that she had to wait for the doctor to see her before she'd be, free to go and make sure, she's not in any danger. What happens next is truly horrifying. A self-identified army doctor enters into where she is laying down and recovering, along with another self-identified female soldier. He immediately administers an IV to her other free arm, and they move her to what is not a treatment room. She has trouble identifying because this apparent army doctor administers a paraplegic to her, and she is temporarily paralyzed, still fully conscious. The female soldier provides guard duty, and the apparent army doctor proceeds to straight up rape her and sodomize her over the course of what she describes as a internal hell that felt like at least hours. This goes on for an unknown amount of time exactly. It is disrupted by Gary Hart pounding on the door and forcibly entering his way and attempting to enter the room. They leave her nude, cover her with a dirty quilt, and let Gary Hart into the room, dismissing his questions, storming out of the room as he is trying to find answers and just discovering this horrible situation. They leave. Oh, no. They're gone. Gary immediately wraps up Miss Massaro in the quilt, loads her up in a Humvee, and takes her back to her hotel room. She is still limp, unable to move of her own power at this point in time. He tells her to call him as soon as she can move or respond, and he leaves to go get essentially the rest of the talent and inform them of the situation. Maria Kanellis is probably one of the first people to talk to Miss Massaro as soon as she is able to, talk under her own power and move under her own power. She's still quite groggy, messed up, and so forth. Miss Massaro says that Kanellis was very kind to her, very comforting, able to, sort of reassure her at this point in time. But unfortunately, due to the circumstances of them being on this tour and moving forward, they are able to administer a rape kit, and frankly, the logistics team screw up Miss Massaro's travel plans. Initially, the rest of the group have been sent back home stateside, and they don't have a ticket for her. She's able to ensure her own travel back home with a travel agent friend, and she gets back to the States on her own. She is met by WWE physician Dr. Rios, who she doesn't know if he just knew by looking at her, if someone informed him of what happened, but he is the first person to sort of take stock of what happened to her, and he informs Kevin Dunn, John Laurnentis, Vince, and several other executives are informed, and then company lawyers are informed, and so on, of what happened to her. This leads to a meeting where she recounts the events to the assembled group of people who were informed, and Vince basically tells her, urges her, basically coerces her not to make this information public. He wants her to stay completely confidential, to not ruin the good working relationship WWE had with the U.S. military.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Because recruitment numbers matter more and money matters more.
Yeah. She described it as this was decided before this meeting ever took place. She knows that Vince is just looking at his bottom line, his public perception. He doesn't care about her as a person.
War crime.
Yeah.
I would have committed fucking war crimes.
And Miss Massaro said, like, one of the reasons that she didn't follow through with, following any sort of report or anything like that is because she felt powerless, number one. And number two, she knew she was kind of up against the wall. She wouldn't be able to identify her attacker. It was impossible for her to get a rape kit administered. There was no physical evidence. It was basically her word against the U.S. military.
Of course.
WWE. But yeah, she found no support, no counseling, no therapy was ever suggested to her. So it's no surprise that, she left the company shortly after. Unfortunately for her. Probably one of the more tragic stories in the history of the business, and one of the more terrifying ones, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's just... I'm so mad right now. I'm so mad. Like, I want to just rip that freaking doctor's throat out.
Yeah.
That man deserves to die slowly.
Yeah.
Slowly. That freaking guard deserves to die slowly.
Mm-hmm.
This is not right. They deserve to pay at least. Like, this isn't cool. Like,
no. And unfortunately, we're talking. It's impossible to identify them. This is the major issue. Of
course. And if their bitch asses ever watch this, like, you're pieces of shit. You deserve the worst. You deserve the worst day ever. And Vince, fuck you too. All you cared about was the money. This was a human being who suffered one of the most traumatic experiences you could probably ever suffer.
Yeah,
all you could think about was your bottom line.
Yeah, this is an instance of, once again, Vince McMahon being the biggest monster possible. It's why I have so much believability in the allegations that are currently levied against him, is because he has a history of being a terrible person. Just the worst. Like, he is more a monster than a man.
If you graph it out, it's a steady rise of, hey, I'm going to be shittier and shittier and shittier and shittier, and there's no slowing down.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at his on-screen antics, right? Like, because I believe also leads into the allegations being more credible. The way that last week when we watched the Trish Stratus thing, where he's making out with Trish Stratus and going deep down her freaking throat the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way he only sees women as meat to have fun with.
Yeah, he sees them as objects of his personal property. That's the way he sees other human beings, and women in particular. He is just the most abhorrent actions and behavior you can imagine.
Which I think gives more credibility to one part of the allegations that have popped up now, where he forced her to perform sexual acts after he defecated on her.
Yes. Yeah.
And this was, if allegations are true, went on for hours.
Yes. And
he would not let her clean herself. This is absolutely degrading. I feel so sorry for you, Janel, Miss Grant. Everyone should feel sorry for the victim in this situation. Because again, and I know I've said it multiple times now, but if even just a fraction of this is true, he is a monster.
Yeah.
A monster, regardless of any other allegations. Regardless.
Yeah. He is straight up trafficking, torturing, and abusing this one victim that we are aware of to such an extreme degree. This is beyond most people's nightmares, what she had to endure.
Which means there is no possible way this is the first frickin' time he's done this. There is no way he's this good at it his very first time. Is it possible? Sure. The probability of that is slim to nil. Slim to nil. This pattern of behavior here of how he degraded her was a gradual growth over time type of crap. There's no way this is his first time. He had to have learned this over time of doing it to others. There's no way.
I anticipate there will be more stories in the future that come to light. I also anticipate we will find out more as the lawsuit itself progresses. The representation of Ms. Grant has said that the evidence that they are compiling for this suit, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
There's no way. There's no way that it's like all there is. There's no way. This is because usually when it comes to stuff like this, you get piecemeal evidence regardless.
Yeah.
But with what we've gotten so far, this is nuts.
Yeah.
This is nuts.
I'll be completely honest. From what I know about civil suits, and for something of this scale, as far as the seriousness of the allegations, the discovery period is going to upend the entirety of WWE. Because WWE is a named defendant in the suit, they are going to find out who knew what and when they knew and what they did. And that will, if things go much farther than they already have, we are looking at a clean house of WWE after this, possibly.
Which is not a bad thing. But, disclaimer, audience, do know that when it comes to situations like this, the defense is going to exhaust every single option that they have to not only stall this out, because they're going to try and stall it out as much as possible. This could be couple years down the road before discovery actually finishes, depending on how lenient the judge is.
Cough.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. I mean,
Otherwise,
sorry.
Well, that's the other end of it. Could they end up pulling a Giuliani and say, "Oh, yep, we're at fault. We don't want to give up discovery because they don't want more shit coming out."
It's entirely possible. This is one of those things that could go multiple different directions. We could see the federal case gain new steam against Vince. One thing that is a bit of bright light for the victim is Vince's longtime attorney, I believe his name is Jerry McDevitt, is no longer representing Vince. He is retired. He retired recently, and he is probably the most powerful weapon Vince has in his arsenal when it comes to legal matters. The man is a brilliant attorney. He's the one who has gotten Vince away with a lot over the years when it comes to federal cases, civil cases, and so on. Now, I'm sure they're still represented by the same firm, but if you don't have as powerful as a legal mind as DeVette in your corner, that it gives me a little bit of hope that Vince is weaker now than he was before.
Yeah. Well, speaking of defense like that and having good lawyers, Alex, you both probably know what I'm about to bring up. But we're seeing that right now with the E. Jean Carroll case with the second verdict.
Oh, yeah.
Took only 3 hours for the jurors to decide that Trump was defaming her a second time, going after his victim a second time.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, with stuff like this, you need to have good lawyers. And he had Haba, who couldn't even check a box for a different case to have a jury, trial by jury. Like
who didn't follow the procedure to introduce evidence. Like yes.
Had you go and relearn how to introduce evidence correctly, how you ask the right questions. So I wonder, could Vince McMahon pay enough to this guy for him to come out of retirement?
It's Vince. Look, he's got the money, and he is not shy about spending money, unlike Trump. Okay, Vince will spend money to protect himself.
Well, he was it $670 million he made off of selling his shares right before the deal.
Oh,
Like
dude.
the man's flush with cash right now.
Yeah.
Prime for the taking. And Miss Grant, you take that fucking money.
Yeah.
You take that goddamn money. You've more than fucking earned it. You deserve to live a quiet life where no one bothers you, where you get to just have your own deal. I don't know, like chill with your kids if you have kids, and like chill with dogs and stuff. But you've more than earned it.
Yeah. She has earned a long stay at some sort of spa to recover. One of those places where they provide counseling and care, and she can finally rest. That I wish the best for her.
Yeah, literally, and every other victim too. Every other. I'm sorry, my voice is kind of gone a little bit from me earlier, but
Yeah, because it's.
But yeah, that was off screen, audience. I'm really mad about all this. This stuff infuriates me. I'm trying to keep my cool. This is not
all
right.
about it.
This is just not how you treat another human being, let alone any other person would want themselves to be treated. Like, come on. Infuriates me. Again, I know this is all allegations technically at the moment, but if even a fraction of this is true, Vince, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's another part of it where he named, this is alleged again, but he named dildos after wrestlers that he would use against the victim.
And use them so forcibly to cause injury.
Okay, so this is one of the things I've wondered about, because I don't know much about this when it comes to the law aspect. I wonder if you boys have any sort of insight, but could that be considered a weapon at that point? Because
it would be considered battery.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Would it be battery with a deadly weapon at that point? Because you could still kill someone with that, technically.
You could.
So, I don't know. Throw the fucking book at him when it comes to the civil case, because if he pleads the fifth in a civil case, understand, audience, there's differences when it comes to how the law is viewed or has to be viewed by a juror and the entire jury when it comes to either between a civil and a criminal case. In a criminal case, you are allowed to plead the fifth and have that not be seen against you as anything bad. But in a civil case, if you plead the fifth, the judge is allowed to instruct the jurors that they are allowed to take the preponderance of that as being malice on your end.
Yeah.
So when someone pleads the fifth during a civil case, it makes them look worse. And I have a feeling he's going to plead the fifth, if he even fucking takes the stand.
I doubt he's going to take the stand. If he takes the stand, he will perjure himself into oblivion, because I don't think he is possible as a human being to admit fault. I don't think he has that capacity.
The difference between a billionaire or a rich guy, I should say at least, like Vince McMahon, and a rich guy like Trump, because I don't think either are billionaires, or truly, like, at least when it comes to paper, when it comes to cash flow. They might with assets and everything be over $1 billion, but when it comes to like hard cash, I doubt they have a bill.
Yeah, his net worth is reported at $2.8 billion.
Okay, and that's probably majority assets and shares and shit like that. Or was, until he sold 30% of them or whatever.
Yeah.
But you need to hit these fuckers in the pocketbook. You have to. It's the only way to get them to fucking listen.
It's the only way to
they're
fucking
not going to listen
them.
any other way. Yeah. And not only that, if you can hit them in the pocketbook, sure enough, with someone like Vince, and like who is going to pay to appeal, of course, he's at least smart enough, I believe, over Trump to not take the stand.
Yeah.
I believe he's smart enough to listen to his lawyers and not take the stand, not make snide comments, try and say shit towards the jurors. I think he'll be quiet as fuck. He might make faces.
He might bust out the neck brace.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. Or he'll come in with fucking crutches and shit because his fucking quads fucking blew out again. Fuck that guy. Get raked over the coals, bitch. You deserve it.
He is
allegedly
the worst person to have ever existed.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Now, post Rumble, there was the press conference.
I do want to talk about this too. Yes.
Yeah. The question was brought up. as I had hoped, it wasn't the first question asked like I expected, but it did get asked both to Cody and to Trips. Cody got away with probably what I would say is the most their attorneys would probably allow them to say as far as being aware of it and the emotional response to it. Trips was far more vague, attempting to dodge the question entirely, instead insisting that he wanted to focus on the positives of the week. Look, I'll be honest. I wouldn't expect anything more to come out of them. This is they have to be careful. WWE is named in the suit. Anything they say could be, admitted as fault or guilt to the case. It's unfortunately the smart thing. It's not the honest or moral thing, but it is the smart thing to do as far as the legal sense is concerned, unfortunately.
So I've been thinking about this since watching these pressers. And Cody nailed it. Like, don't get me wrong. I did not expect a full-blown answer from anybody about any of this. Don't get me wrong. It's right of people to be asking still. They should. And you should still. You need to be pressing their asses on this. Because so the gentleman who asked Triple H, I commend you, brother, because you made that question was perfect, brother. It was clean. It was not in a mean, malice way. It was right there. It hit home. I think you did a great job. And unfortunately, Triple H did not step up to the plate for you.
No.
He wasn't going to give you a response, a real response regardless. But when you look at both of them, both responses, Cody's and Triple H's, Cody came out on top on this because Cody was able to navigate the drama in a legal way that gave you a non-answer, but was still good enough to be like, hey, let's get back to the Rumble.
Yeah.
Triple H's, I don't know how he could, unless he said something completely different. I don't think the way he worded it then, I don't think there's any way he could fix it. It was just really bad.
No,
it was really bad.
What Triple H provided was something that was provided by attorneys. That is what he went out there and spoke. That's what they gave him. This is what you're allowed to say. You're not allowed to say anything more. I mean, I could see on his face there was a lot brewing under and behind those eyes that he wants to say but knows better to not say. But also, Triple H is a professional liar. We've covered this before when we were talking about the Montreal Screwjob. We've covered this throughout his entire career. Triple H is, he can't not lie. He is a professional carny like every other wrestler. Cody gave off the much more professional and endearing responses, but Triple H gave this is what I'm allowed to say corporate response. And that's the sad truth of it.
Well, the one part of his response I did enjoy was his try to turn it around back to the Royal Rumble and the great things that happened at the Rumble, because I do want to admit, it was a good Rumble. It was. Despite everything going on, it was a damn good Rumble. There was a lot of shit that I loved in it. But the question has to be asked. And I'm glad it was, pretty quickly overall. And it was done in such a manner. I don't remember the gentleman's name who asked it. He was on Twitter. I know he was unhappy with Paul's response, but
was it Brandon Thurston from WrestleNomics?
It might have been. I don't remember the name. I have a picture of it somewhere. I might pop it up on screen if I remember to do it, audience. But he was a little unhappy with Triple H's response. But I didn't expect anything from Triple H, really, overall, and that was exactly what I got. And I think he could have tiptoed that minefield a little bit better. It was hard minefield to go through. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's such an easy thing to tiptoe around, but I think he could have done a better job. I think Cody did successfully tiptoe through that minefield.
Oh, and I'm going to say this. He was very careful with his words about responding to whether or not he's read it, and he said he has not. And look, he could be flat out lying. I don't believe he's lying. I think for plausible deniability's sake, he did not read it. It's been a busy week for him in particular at the company. He probably went to one of his underlings and said, read this, tell me what it says when you get a chance.
I wouldn't doubt for legal reasons. The lawyers said, do not read it because we need you to have deniability.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. It would make sense when it comes to court, if he were to not have read it whatsoever, he can be more vague in the type of answers he gives.
Mm-hmm. It's
unfortunate, but yeah, I you need to hold him accountable. Like, don't protect this man. I understand WWE needs to protect itself. I get that.
Yeah.
But I think WWE would look a lot better, TKO in general would look a lot better if they played ball and did not try and stall shit out and actually went forward with Discovery without fighting it. Because if they show that they are standing with the victim as well, this could set a really good go ahead and take this advice if you ever fucking watch this TKO, people, but like, you would look a lot better if you stand alongside the victim and work towards her getting her justice that she needs versus standing alongside Vince and fighting this.
Yeah.
I understand you're a defendant. I get it. But if you show to the courts that you would rather have let the victim get her day, you're going to look a lot better in the long run. A lot better.
I'll say I think that's the direction that they're going, simply because TKO Group Holdings initial response from their spokesperson was, Mr. McMahon does not control TKO, nor does he oversee the day-to-day operations of WWE. While this matter predates our TKO's executive team tenure at the company, we take Miss Grant's horrific allegations very seriously, and we are addressing this matter internally. That is corporate speak for, we are not on the side of Vince McMahon whatsoever. Yes. We are going to burn him as fast as possible.
Yeah, so that's a memo of, we don't even fucking know that guy, okay?
Yeah.
I've barely met the guy. I had a picture taken with him once. I hire the best people. He's not the best people.
Oh, man. Hires the best lawyers, yeah. But
yeah, no, I'm glad, thank you for bringing that up, by the way, because I was going to say that gave me the idea that they are going to go that route. And I really hope they stick with that, because it's going to look better in the long run for them regardless. Because if they stick by this man, more skeletons are going to keep coming out, and it's going to make them look worse and worse and worse. And it could tank everything by the end of it all.
And you know what? While we're at it and we're cleaning house here, can we rename the Warrior Award to like the Foley Award? Because fuck the Ultimate Warrior.
Yep. I agree with that.
And Nick Foley's a saint, very specifically Saint Nicholas.
Yes. We love you.
Bam.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, again, for anyone that has ever been a victim or anything like that, we will have resources in the for links in the description below.
Yeah.
Please reach out. Our hearts go out to all of you. You know, if you need to, you can always reach out to us as well.
Yep. We are not the best people to handle this by any means.
No.
In fact,
we will give you the resource.
Yeah, we will do everything in our power to help you, though.
Yes. Straight up, we're a bunch of chuckle fucks.
We're knuckle draggers for sure, but we will help you get to the resources you need for help.
Yeah.
We do our
Every
best.
victim deserves to be heard.
Yeah. And really, yes, and the only humane thing to do is to just treat each other like human fucking beings, because that's what we are.
Yes.
I mean, Bill and Ted said it best.
Be excellent
to each other.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But do you guys have any final thoughts that we should leave off on? I'm going to say, 2K, you did Bailey dirty with her Royal Rumble winner announcement on the social media. That was mean. That character model was messed up.
You made her look like a grandma.
Yeah.
Like, what you doing? Like, Bailey looks good. Like, especially, like, when I saw her out in the Rumble and everything, like, dude, she looked great.
Yeah.
You look great. Why'd you got to do her dirty like that?
That hair, man.
Like,
It's messed up. It ain't right.
it was no. The same thing with the cheeks. The way they did her cheeks, like she, like a 60-year-old. Like, what the fuck? Like, come on now. So, Rumble wise, if like let's end on some positivity here. First, Janel, Miss Grant, get your bread. You more than deserve it. But Rumble wise,
secure that bag.
Seriously, I love the Rumble. I will say, despite the fact that the most memorable moment is still for me going to be Cody winning.
Yeah.
The women's Rumble was better than the men's.
Overall, yeah.
I think overall, from beginning to end, there was more to the women's Rumble, which I am happy about, by the way. Because you know me, I don't know how many episodes we've done so far. I forget at the moment because I'm still too angry to process my brain, processing correctly. But I know I've brought up many times that WWE lets women wrestlers down, and they do.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to the Rumble, they did a damn good job, and I think that could have very well been the closer. That could have been the end card. That's how good it was.
The reason it wasn't is because of Cody, and you know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree. But Naomi coming back.
Yeah.
Not only just an amazing entrance, she put on an amazing show.
Oh yeah.
Jade coming in. Oh my God, I love Jade. I've loved Jade since the first time I've watched her wrestle, and she did not disappoint coming in. She came in, looked at Nia, was like, "I am that girl," and threw her the fuck over, bro. That lift up. Lift up.
Are high on Jade. They are treating her the way she should be treated. And
yes,
I am excited for what they are going to do with her. I mean, they've kept her in the back for a while now. They've kept her training for a while now. And I'm excited to see the payoff for her. Because she has had superstar written on her since the beginning.
Like, how do you mess with the real one? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, but she's got Riz for days.
Yeah.
As soon as she refines a lot of her skills, she's gonna be a fucking monster.
Yeah,
a monster. This is a woman who will be GOAT status by the end of her career, for sure.
Yeah, she's going straight to the top, undeniable.
Her lift up of Nia, her exit from the ring. It took 2 WWE superstars to take her out, which set it up for some great shoots that are going to happen in the future. Because this is the other thing I love about her, because I think they're trying to make her a heel. Okay.
Yeah.
I think they're going to end up making her do a heel play, and I'm used to her as more of a face. And when she did that interview after the Rumble, it was so adorable because she's trying to be mean, but she couldn't help herself and just be happy about this. I mean, come on. This was a great debut for her. How could she not be happy? It was hard for her to be mean, and I loved every moment of it. I loved just as much as I loved seeing Cody cry.
Yeah. Cody deserved it, finally.
Now, here's the question. Did he cry because of that, or did he cry because he lost a tooth last night?
Did he lose a tooth?
Yeah, he lost a tooth. It got knocked out of his mouth. So the funny thing is that we're watching this, me and Christina, my girlfriend, and she's like, "What the heck did I just see fly through the air?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? I didn't see nothing."
Usually it's
sure enough. Yes, I'm thinking like it's something stupid, or maybe it was like a light or something just looked weird, right? No, sure enough, she goes on to the fucking the fascist bird fucking thing, and there's Cody lost a tooth last night.
Damn, Cody. Look, from what we know about him, he wrestled with a full-on torn pec. I doubt he was crying because he lost a tooth.
Dude, beginning, and not only that, Cody, amazing match by Cody. Like, and I knew I knew Punk was going to throw him over. There was no way Punk was not going to help Cody win this one.
Oh yeah.
Like Punk's known for it, and Punk put on a great show too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to deny it. Punk put on an amazing show, but I love the fact that he helped Cody go over on this, and it was a beautiful moment. And I think the ending was well deserved. I think the pointing at Roman was perfect. I think Roman did a great job.
Oh yeah.
Of that moment, selling it. I don't normally give Roman much respect, but much respect there, brother. Like you did a great job. Yeah, for real, for real. Like, but I do respect Roman Reigns. I really do. I know I give him shit, but I actually do respect the guy a lot.
Oh, he's been great. He's undeniable.
I wasn't the biggest fan of the 4-way.
Yeah, little
dull.
A little dull. Needed a little bit of something, you know. But I think it's just because we all know that Roman's not dropping the belt there. That's what it was. The stakes felt too low for it.
Yes, but I do think, despite that, Randy stole the show on that match.
Yeah, Randy's fucking great.
He fought through the pain. I think they had to change up what they were going to do with his RKO, because I think he was going to RKO AJ out of midair, and instead he had to do it from the rope, because I don't think he trusted his arm, which is fair, because he did look actually injured. I don't know. Like, it was a good Rumble overall. I'm not going to lie. I was captivated from beginning to end. I was watching the women's stuff as I finished making dinner. We had Swedish meatballs. I made homemade Swedish meatballs, homemade gravy, egg noodles, the like. It was delicious. And it just, it paired perfectly. It paired perfectly, boys.
I'm kind of surprised.
Guy that came running out during the women's Royal Rumble.
Oh, R-Truth. Yeah,
R-Truth, that was a beautiful moment. Yes, thank you for that.
Hysterical.
Dude, my headcanon is R-Truth is a time traveler out of time. Like, he's just constant. Like, it's like, what was it, Sliders or Quantum Leap? Like, he never knows where he's going to land in the timeline, and he's just trying to make his best happen here.
Just go with it. Just go with it.
Just go
that
with
behind the scenes where what's his face was like, God, I need a drink. He's like, it ain't time to drink yet. It's like, yes, I love you, brother. Like,
him arriving to the arena, being like, Happy WrestleMania, everybody. Yeah. Coming into the men's Royal Rumble looking for a tag from Dom.
Yes. Oh my God, I forgot about that. He legal play. Play. I think R-Truth definitely held his own. I think his exit was still great, regardless, even though it was too soon for me. There was a lot of introductions at this Rumble, and every single one was great. What's his face in the men's? Omos was good. Was a good entrance.
Yeah, I haven't seen him on screen in a while, but he's 7'3". He looks amazing. I don't know what that guy's ceiling is, because he's a big slow moving giant. There's only so much you can do with that.
I still think he made a good entrance though.
Yeah.
His time in the ring, I think, was still good overall. He really played up the idea of that he's near invincible, not invincible, but near invincible, which I like.
Yeah.
I think the exit from the ring was good, because it really played into his size.
Yeah, that was believable.
It was believable. Whereas, not Ivar, but the other one that went out at the same time as Ivar.
Bronson Reed?
Yeah, Bronson Reed. You could tell he had to kind of put his leg over. It was not a good exit.
Yeah, he had a little help there where they had to, oh, you suck at this. Let me force you over so it looks better.
Yeah. Well, whereas Ivar was like, let me fling myself into fucking oblivion.
Yeah.
And I loved every moment of it. Ivar, you put it on a good performance, brother. I loved it.
Yeah.
I was not disappointed by either the men's nor the women's. I just, despite the ending, which I believe the ending was fucking amazing, the women's Rumble was better.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Surprisingly, not a lot of returning legends at either Rumble. I think this is the first time in history there wasn't a legend in the women's Rumble at all.
Well, and you were expecting DDP, were you not? And we got him in the backstage area.
Yeah,
in the audience.
He was
in the audience. He gave a hug.
Was at the presser.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I was also surprised that there was not as many like legends or anything like that coming in to shake things up. But I'm also really fucking happy for it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, they've got a big enough roster as is.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but like both Jade and Naomi, and Bailey stole the fucking show. The three of them.
Yeah. Although, how great was it seeing Jordan Grace show up in the Women's Rumble from TNA? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pure muscle packed on top of muscle and just ready to fucking rock.
Bro, when she came out, she was like, yo, let's do this. I was like, yes, get it, girl. Get in there. Like, it was just, what's her face? That the one that's the comic relief. She lasted 5 seconds last Royal Rumble. She lasted like
Chelsea Green. Yeah.
Chelsea Green. I thought she did a great job too.
Yeah.
Selling her character. I thought that was a lot of fun. I loved when what's her face caught her and set her down on the steps. That was adorable. That was an adorable moment, and it kind of brought some lightheartedness that was needed in the moment to all the craziness going on. The Women's Rumble was fucking awesome, and I'm really happy WWE did it.
Yeah. I'm surprised about one thing in particular at the Men's Rumble, and no, I'm not talking about Andrade. I'm talking about Kofi. He didn't have like a crazy save this year. I mean, last year they at least attempted it. It didn't work, but this year they didn't even attempt it.
Nothing. I was really surprised by that. And part of me wonders is because when you look at the fall, it doesn't look forced on his end.
No.
And it makes me wonder if maybe he was supposed to put his footing down in a certain way and he messed up and ended up going all the way over and he wasn't supposed to go that early. We're going to have to find out later on. But he had a great entrance regardless, but it was too soon. It was way too soon.
Yeah, I love me some fucking Kofi Mania, man. That guy's too good. He's so much fun. He's so likable. He's 2
Rumbles away now from the most appearances, I think.
Yeah, I think he's the next one he'll be in, he'll be tied with Kane, so he has to do one more after that, yeah.
Okay, to beat him? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Kofi,
if I'm wrong, let me know. Yeah.
Either way, even if it's 2 away, either way, Kofi, you stick it out, you beat Kane, you take him off that fucking tier.
And then drop in a couple more.
Yeah.
You get rid of that horrible human being, and you take that top spot, brother, because you've earned it. Not only that, I saw a clip the other day where Kofi's like, yeah, I would love to wrestle the Young Bucks. And I was like, yes. And freaking Big E's like, what'd you do? Why'd you say that? I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I want to see this happen. So, dude, New Day versus fucking Young Bucks, brother, I would die.
Dude, that'd be so good. Fucking Usos versus Bucks, bro. Usos versus Bucks. Super kicks for days. They would just be nothing but super kicks for like 30 minutes.
The boys did good in the Rumble today or yesterday too.
Yeah, they started it.
Usos. And they held their own. It was a good and for them, like their comedy relief was worth it.
Dude, Jimmy is the most unserious man in the business.
No, brother, dude.
Dap it up. Dap me up.
Good. Yes. Oh, such a good. If any of you haven't seen the Royal Rumble, you can check it out on Peacock. Highly recommend. It was a good Rumble. It's one of those that's going to make you happy to watch wrestling again. I'm not going to lie to you. At least wrestling from WWE's standpoint.
Yeah, it felt good.
It was good.
Yeah. I think this is a good place to call it a day or night, so to speak.
It was a good night off.
I'm happy we got that off our chest. I feel like this is the start of a healing process, hopefully for the victim, Miss Janel Grant, and we wish you the best.
Yes.
Once again, link in the description for background information, for resources for people who are victims themselves. We love, respect, and believe you. You know, instead of doing like the usual, instead of doing the usual rigmarole, just find somebody you care about today. Tell them you love them.
That's cute. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
You know, boys, just want to tell you, I love you both.
I love you too. I love you too, Walsh.
And I love all of you who have listened, who have watched. You're all amazing. Thank you for even paying attention to us for the time that you do. I do really appreciate it. It's very heartwarming.
Yeah. And we'll see you on your next night off. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.